So welcome everyone. Today we're going to be talking about predicting the Kentucky Derby and also going back and doing some feedback on a previous prediction, one that was done on January 25th about the Dow Jones Industrial Average. So Jonathan, welcome. Glad you could join us too. So let me just, and let's see, someone else just joined, looks like. Um, Okay, I'm not seeing who that was, but we will go ahead and let's talk about what we're going to do today. We're going to have a learn by doing format. So most of this time is going to be actually doing the session. I am going to start off with doing your feedback from the January 25th webinar. And then we're going to do a review of some of the protocol that's involved for when you have one transcript, because with the Winning Entanglements protocol and the software that you can use for that, you have the choice of using either one or two transcripts. But the one transcript is, of course, much simpler, and so that's what we're going to be doing today. And we'll also do a prediction, and that's the prediction for the Kentucky Derby. And we'll have one remote viewing session, a judging session, and at that point, we can share our transcripts so that we can all look at them and come to a common agreement on what the group prediction should be. You'll be doing your self-judging, so you'll have your own personal prediction, but then we as a group will do a prediction. And then feedback will come when the Kentucky Derby runs on May 6th. So that'll be a little bit in the future, which is the whole point of this series that we're doing, because we're using associative remote viewing to look into the future. As Ted was saying, the precognitive aspect of remote viewing is one of the benefits that we have. We can get information from the future. How cool is that? So you can do this like a binary choice, can be a lot of different things, and the different predictions that have been done in this particular series of webinars, you can either look at something as side one or side two, up or down, team A or B, over, under, favorite underdog, or yes, no. Now today we're doing a yes, no prediction. So, and the one for the Dow is also a yes, no prediction. So let's go on to that. But here's some of the ones that have been done before. And now it was a little confusing because when I first looked at this, will Trump be president in January? I was thinking that was this year, so I thought that was a hit, but it's January of next year. So we won't know the answer to that one until next year. I think some of the others, maybe this, I don't know if this Kentucky National Championship has happened yet, but the one that we're going to be doing today is the one that was on the 25th of January about the Dow Jones Industrial Average. So let's look at that. This was the task. Will the Dow Jones Industrial Average be over 20,200 on February 27th at 1 p.m.? I believe these are the people who were there, although Ted, you said you were also involved, so maybe there were others that just weren't on this list. But Donna, you were part of this group, is that correct?
Yes, I was.
Okay, all righty. Okay, here is the feedback photo. So it was the lightning photo. So I'm just going to give you a minute to kind of, do you have your transcript there in front of you, Donna and Ted? So were you able to find it?
Yeah, I have it. Thank you.
Okay. So it was a group hit. And so there were, I think, there were two very strong sessions. So they had a group hit. And then there were a couple that were also good scores, but that were on the other side. But they decided to go with this as the group prediction. So if you had a personal hit, then one of the things you want to do is really celebrate that. You need to go over your transcript and review what matched the picture, so that you can really kind of circle those things or trace over them or whatever you do to really reinforce the hit for you. You might even want to just write down, like sometimes what I'll do is when I actually go into the software, I'll actually put down all the matches in the little comment box, so just actually type them in again so that I reinforce the words that I used that matched. You also can look at, I'm sorry, go ahead.
Tell me what date that was for?
The date of the prediction that where the webinar was January 25th, the date of the Dow Jones Industrial Average was the February 27th. So the feedback is based on February 27th. That was when the target was.
Okay.
So you can look at what you missed, and what you can do at that point is think about how you could have described or sketched it better. And this is all part of the feedback process that you're doing with yourself at this point. And it's also a chance for you to learn how your subconscious mind communicates with you. And if you have one of those really good transcripts, I hope you would think about sending your transcript to me so that I can post it on my website, arvforfun.com, because I like to show good sessions on there, because I'm trying to, like most of us, trying to get the public to realize that we can do this, and, to kind of reinforce that, it helps to have some good examples. So let me put down my email address right here. It's twfinley@gmail.com. So if you didn't have a personal hit, because even though it was a group hit, there were some people who didn't have a personal hit, and some people had passes as well, like you were saying, Ted. And that's fine. This happens. Everybody doesn't get a hit every time. Even the people who are at the top of the game, the very best viewers, don't get hits all the time. So, but you need to look at this as part of the feedback and see if you overlook something in your transcript. Like, there may be something there, and now that you know that that was the one that actualized, you can look at your transcript and see if that maybe you just overlooked something. And in hindsight, you can just write that down so that you can give that feedback to yourself in the past. Like, you're kind of, this is the session where, at the feedback session, this is the point that you're coming to when you actually do the viewing. You're looking into the future to this moment in time where you're doing the feedback. And so this is your opportunity to communicate with yourself in the past. Does that make sense to you?
Yes.
Can you tell me what the coordinate numbers were on the day that we were tasked?
Goodness. I don't know that. I don't have that right here in front of me. Let's see. Because I looked it up by date. Let me see. It looks like it was 252008.
Yeah, I think that's correct.
Can you repeat that again? Sorry.
Donna's got it in the chat box. It's 252008. Thank you, Donna.
Thank you.
Welcome.
Okay. So here again, your job is to learn how your subconscious communicates with you. And you're using this time, this moment in time, to send information into the past and connecting. But if you didn't have a personal hit, don't beat yourself up about it. Just say, okay, here's the things that I overlooked. Here's some things I wish I had put down. And here's what I think my subconscious was trying to tell me. And now let's just move on, because, it's just one thing. So just move on. So here is that again, just for one more look. Does someone do you need a little bit more time to look up your transcript, or is everybody okay? Okay. All right. Does anyone have any questions then about this this feedback or the feedback session that we're doing, or about this particular prediction? Okay. Then we will go on to the next part. So I'm going to kind of go over the process of winning entanglements, how that you use this software, this online software to kind of automate the process of doing a session. It's really cool because, before you had this, what you had to do was get somebody to cooperate with you and put pictures in envelopes or do something. It was really a lot more difficult than it is now, where you can just go online and get coordinates and do the viewing and upload your transcripts and do your self-judging and do all of this stuff on your own. So this is really kind of a neat thing. You start by getting the coordinate or coordinates if you're using two. You do the viewing, you upload your transcripts, you use the link that's sent to you by email to, well, I'm sorry, did someone have a comment? So you use the link, actually you use the link that is online to access the photo sets that are associated with the target reference numbers or coordinates. You do the judging either by yourself, or if you're working with a group manager or someone who will do judging for you, then you send the information to your transcript to your independent judge. You submit your confidence ranking scores, and then after the event, you use the link to access the feedback photos. And you do your feedback session and submit any comments. And also on the Winning Entanglements site, you have the opportunity to click through at that point after you do your feedback, and there's a link where you can see your stats. So all the sessions that you've done as part of a Winning Entanglements group, you can submit and see how you've been doing, and there's a record there, which is really great. This is kind of what the email looks like. You're going to get an email that says the tasking at the top, and it's going to talk about the event time and name and all of that sort of stuff. And then it's going to should have, right here is where it's going to have where you click to get your coordinates and all of that sort of stuff. So when you click on that, it's going to take you to the next page. And that is going to start with where you put in your email address, because that is how your statistics are kept, and that is what keeps it. If you put in the wrong email address here, like here's an error that sometimes happens, just to be aware of it. Like for instance, you put in an email address and you misspell it. Well, it's going to give you one coordinate, but if you put in your email address and you spell it correctly, it's going to give you another one. So if you ever run into a time when you have mismatched coordinates coming back to you, then you need to check your email address and make sure you entered it correctly, because that could mess you up. So make sure you always use the same email address. It's going to come up with the group name already selected. So for instance, right now we're doing the webinar workshop group, and then you're going to have the choice to either select two coordinates or one. Today we're using one coordinate. So it's important for you to start your remote viewing session when you feel good about doing it. So you want to make sure that you can relax and clear your mind and be able to have a few minutes to work on this and focus on it. And I do recommend, and most people recommend, doing a cool down to clear your mind of distractions. And this can be done in a number of ways. A lot of people use HemiSync. That's what I generally use. My personal preference is Deep Journeys. I really like that particular one. I had also sent out a link to some SAM technology, a little RV cool down MP3 that you may have tried that one as well. But there's a lot of different ways. Whatever works for you in order to clear your mind of distractions is what you should do. And then you, again, will need to focus on the feedback target. So it's like we were talking about earlier. Your goal is to connect with what you will see at feedback. You can't find we. Okay, you get the link when you're in a group. Like you didn't get a link for this particular one, Terry, because we're gonna submit all of that as a group. So I'm actually going to be submitting it for you today. So you don't need to worry about it today, but what I'm just trying to go over here, which it's a little bit confusing, what is how you will normally get the information and how you will normally do the session on your own. So for today, I'm going to actually be doing all of these steps for you, and you'll be able to see what I'm doing, hopefully. So when you have one coordinate, but for this one coordinate, since we're trying to do a yes or no answer here, you're going to get two sides, so you have two possible photosite targets. Now this one is going to be associated with yes, one is going to be associated with no, but your target is the photosite that is associated with what actually happens. So that is what you're going to keep in your mind. That's your intention, is that you want to connect with whichever photosite target is the one that actually happens, connected to what actually happens. So let me just kind of repeat that in a different way. There are two sides, but your objective is to predict the winning side. So in the remote viewing session, I'm just saying it again. It's like the third time. Third time is charm. Intend to create an RV transcript for your coordinate that is a good match to the feedback target for that coordinate. When your remote viewing is complete and you submit your transcript, you're going to have the opportunity to either self-judge or send your work to an independent analyst or judge. And if you're self-judging, you're going to have to browse for your transcript and then upload it, or you'll send it over to your independent judge and they will do that. And here's what that screen looks like. So you'll do the choose. This is an old target number, so disregard this number, but you'll just click on choose file. That will take you to your list of files. So from your list of files, you select the transcript and then you hit submit. In self-judging, what you're going to be doing is analyzing your transcript. So in the remote viewing section, you're kind of dealing with your subconscious. You're being very right-brained about things, non-analytical. But when it comes to judging, you switch over. You put on your analytical hat. You're going to analyze your transcript. You're going to be very logical. You're going to give it a score. Between 0 and 7 we use the TARG, or the Standard Research Institute scale for confidence rankings. I'm going to show you that in a minute. So you're going to do that for both photo A and photo B. You're going to compare your transcript to both photos. You're going to give each of those sides a score. 3.5 on that 7-point scale is considered wagerable. And what that means is that you think you've gone beyond just chance. You've gone to a point where you have made definite connection with the target, and you feel confident enough in that to bet on it. Like if you were going to put money on it, you feel that confident. Now, if it's below 3.5 for both of the sides, then you're going to pass. And there's another way that you might want to pass, is if you're within 1 point, like if your scores are within 1 point, like one side you have 3.5 and one side you have 3, or whatever you have, if it's within 1 point, then you may want to consider passing, because that indicates that you've got a mixed signal line. You're getting information from both sides, and that makes it pretty difficult to predict sometimes. Okay. Sandy, I'm going to put you on mute. I think we're getting a little noise, and I'm not sure if that's you, but it may be. If I can do that. There we go. All right, let's try that. So where'd it go? Okay, so after you submit your confidence rankings in, then you're going to get an email that looks like this, and it's going to tell you what your personal prediction is. So it'll come back, like in our case, it'll either say yes or no. Now for us, I'm going to be the only one who sees this, but when you're doing it yourself, then you're going to get an email that says, well, actually not an email, that when you do this, the the we system is going to come up and it's going to show you this. That'll be the next screen on your computer. It's going to say your personal prediction is blah, blah. Okay. Then when we get the feedback, when we know the outcome, so in like today, when we knew what the Dow actually did on February 27th, then if you were doing that on your own, then you would have gotten an email that came to you that said, this was the tasking, and that this was, you can just click here and get your feedback photo. So that's going to be how you're going to know when to go and look at the feedback photo. And so you would just click on this link below, and that would take you to the We site, and you'd be able to pull up your feedback. So at the feedback session, once again, this is your time to really talk to your past self. You really want to focus on being as clear as you can about what this particular winning photo site was. Celebrate your hit and don't stress about your misses. Okay. Does anyone have any questions? Because this is the part where it's just kind of a general overview. Okay, what date will feedback be for this event? That's a good question. I don't know when the next webinar will be. Probably the first webinar following the Derby, which will probably be the next Wednesday. But I don't know for sure because I don't know what Marty's calendar is like. But that would be my guess, is that it would be, coming up then. We may have a way to get it out earlier. I don't know. But, what we could do, I know I'm going to be out of town that weekend, but as we go along, if y'all want to send your email addresses to me, we might be able to do some personal feedback to you some way, because I know it's kind of hard to wait. Once we know the results of the Derby, you can do it yourself, of course. If you keep track of, if you take a screenshot of the pictures today and you know which one is A and which one is B, then once we come to the Derby, then you can give yourself feedback, and then we'll just reinforce it on the next webinar. But we can try to work out something like that, because I don't know when Marty will have the next webinar. He's trying for every Wednesday. Any other questions about the process? Okay. Does anyone else comment on our transcripts?
Actually, your suggestion about just taking copies of the two candidate photos during this session, remind me, does the side get assigned during this? Do these two photos get assigned to a side now, or does that happen after we're done here?
They do get assigned. Once we submit our prediction, at that point it will assign it, and it'll come up with that screen that says our prediction is yes or no, and at that point we'll know which one is the right one. So help me remember, and we'll go back and make sure that you know which one is our prediction and which one is not. Okay?
All right, thanks.
And Evelyn, when you say, does anyone else comment on our transcripts, we are going to have the opportunity to talk to each other later in this webinar about our transcripts. If that's what you mean. Did you mean other folks like outside of this group? Thanks, Murphy. Outside. Okay, so anyone outside of this group. Let's see. This will be posted. So this webinar will be posted on the Applied Precognition website, and it's free for anybody to look at. So, I mean, people could comment on it. Whether they would comment on it publicly, I've never really seen that happen. And, like I said, sometimes, either people will send me their transcripts and like winning transcripts and stuff like that, and I will end up posting them on ARV for fun, but that's only with permission. I don't ever post anything up there without permission. So I'm not really aware of anyone else ever commenting on our transcripts outside of those two particular instances. I can't, I don't know. I mean, they could. So if you don't want people to comment on your transcript, you don't have, there is no obligation to put it up. But I mean, I think it's part of the learning process. I think as much as you can be open and be open to receiving feedback, then I think it's going to really help you grow because one of the things that I have learned through this process of working with groups and, getting information from other people about what they see in my transcript, I'm amazed. I deal with Igor. I'm in one of Igor's groups. He's a manager out of Croatia, and he reads my transcripts so much better than me. He sees stuff in my transcripts I don't even begin to see. And so for me, he's a better judge than I am. But that's not true with everyone. I've dealt with other people who have judged my transcripts who haven't done as well as I have. But it is a learning experience. So yeah, Evelyn, I think it's true. I think the more the better. And I think that the more people who see what we're doing, I think it's going to be good because they can see that we can touch the future here. We can see into the future. It's not perfect, but we can get some information. Yeah, the Kentucky Derby, Lee, you're right, has about 20 horses, and so it's you're going to see how a yes/no ARV is applied. It's not great, but I'm still hoping. We used to have a multi-pick function. Marty used to have a multi-pick where you could actually list all 20 horses, and then you could come up with which horse would win on your own, which was great. But that's not available anymore. So right now, here's how we're going to do it. Here is our tasking. Yes or no? Will the morning line odds favorite horse on May 6, 2017 win the Kentucky Derby? Now, for those of you who don't follow horses, on the morning of a race, you're going to get the listing of the odds for the horses. And so one or more, like I think, which race was that? On the last race that we did, there was a tie for who was the first place horse, which was really annoying. But so usually there is a clear, or at least a fairly clear favorite, an odds favored horse. And so that is the horse that is going to be the one that we're going to be shooting for. That's what our yes/no tasking is all about. Will that horse win? So we can't do this today because the horses have not been chosen. Like Ted was saying before we got started here a little earlier, that we don't have the field yet. The horses, some of the ones that have been the favorite horses are getting hurt or otherwise disqualifying. And so who's even going to be the 20 horses in the race has not been determined and won't be determined until May 3rd. So we are predicting more than a month in advance, which is what we're doing in this webinar series. The event is May 6th. So if you want to bet based on our group prediction or on your own personal prediction, which is also okay. So if you end up, predicting something that's opposite what the group does, that's okay. Feel fine to go ahead and bet your own prediction. So what you'll need to do is go to one of the sites that has the entries that'll be up there that morning. So brisnet.com or equibase.com are two. I think those are probably the two biggest ones, aren't they, Ted? Yeah, okay. So those are the ones that I usually use. Okay. Now another kind of interesting thing is that this is the first race in the Triple Crown. So they're going to be determining the top ranked 3-year-old male thoroughbreds. And through this process, these 3 races, and this has been around since the early 1900s. And so these 3 races start with the Kentucky Derby on May 6th and end with the Belmont Stakes on June 10th. Now, why is this important? Well, we had a group prediction here a few weeks ago that said we would have a Triple Crown winner. There have only been 12 Triple Crown winners before. And since, all this time, there have only been 12. And so if we have a Triple Crown winner, then we will really have a good hit on that one as well. So this is the first race. So Sandy, your question is, would I write those later on? You're talking about the Brisnet and the Equibase. I could put those in the chat box. Brisnet.com, Equibase. Okay, and Evelyn's question is, does it matter if we have emotional history with an event? Well, that's one of the beauties about ARV, as Ted says, that's a set aside. I'll talk about that in just a second, but that is one of the beauties about ARV is that it's associative remote viewing. You're not going to know which side you're predicting. It's totally blind to you. You have no way of knowing. So you may really care, but since you don't know which side A is connected with and which side B is connected with, you have no way to get emotionally involved. And it's also for you personally, what Ted means by a set aside is that you can just sit there and say to yourself before you start, it's like, I know I really want this horse to win or whatever, but I just need to put that aside. Excuse me. I just need to put that aside, and I just need to trust in my judgment, and trust that the answer will be the right answer, and I'm going to trust my subconscious, and just kind of move yourself away from that. Move yourself away from that emotion. Yes.
I think that it's convenient that we're doing this now, and the list of runners is nowhere near finalized. So if you have a prediction, or if you have an emotional attachment with any one of the current, big horses, well, it doesn't matter. That horse may be out like 2 days before the fact. So you can be completely, they could just be horses A, B, C, D, E, F, G, H, I, J, K. It doesn't really matter who they are. There should be no emotional attachment at this early date.
Yeah, because no one knows. No one knows which horse is going to make it. So that's why we're so far in advance that whoever the odds favorite is on that morning is really impossible to predict. Nobody knows. Evelyn, your question is, what if it's with one of the pitchers? There is no answer right now. If I'm interpreting your question correctly, there is no answer right now. There is no odds favorite because we're looking for the odds favorite horse on the morning of the race. And since we are not at the morning of the race, nobody knows. So there's no way that we could answer the question that we're asking. Okay, so Ted says it's also better to talk about what to do if the prediction is a no. Okay, you better talk about that, Ted. Well, I'm going to be talking about our color predictions. Is that what you mean, or what?
Well, color is one of them for sure.
Mm-hmm.
But when we did the Triple Crown prediction, Marty pointed out that if you are so adventurous, you can connect with an offshore bookmaker, and you can make a bet against the morning line favorite, which you can't do,
Right.
onshore. You can't do that in North America.
Do
And
they
there's
have,
other ways.
yeah, I haven't checked. Do they have that up right now as far as betting against the odds favorite?
I'm sure. Well, actually, I'm not sure, and I don't really have anything to do with offshore
Yeah,
bookmakers, so I'm not a good source of information.
yeah, I don't know either. I don't know either, but yeah, and Lee makes a good point is that we are talking about the morning line. We're not talking about the horse that's the favorite at the right before the race, because the morning line could change, the not the morning line, the favorite in the morning line may not be the favorite at post time. And that was part of the problem, which is something Ted and I had been discussing because it's kind of hard it can really change the outcome on whether you have a hit or a miss. You have to be very specific about what exactly it is that you're tasking. And this was the firmest thing that we could come up with on how to task this particular prediction. So we are looking at the morning line, which is a set thing. But it could change later, but we're not looking at what changes later. We're looking at the morning line. And Evelyn wanted to clarify that if you have, her question was not about whether you have an emotion about the race, but if you have an emotion about one of the pitchers, will it affect your viewing? There is some thought that it can. I would suggest to you that your belief system plays a lot into how you do remote viewing. So I would suggest to you that to the extent that you can, just keep your focus on your intent and just focus on which of these pictures, whichever photo sites, whichever one it is, never mind if you're attracted to one more than the other. Your intention is to see the one that is connected to the winning outcome. Like I said, there is a lot of information out there about how people do believe that it can't. There are studies to make sure, for one thing, that you get the best possible photo set, so that your photo sites are as different from each other as they can be, that they have equal interest, so that you're not having a really boring photo site with one that's really interesting. And those are the kinds of things that we do try to do, that Marty tries to do with his pool of targets. So there is effort made to do that. So, it's not perfect. And, what I consider a good pair, I guarantee you, from having gone through this process before the last conference that we had in Las Vegas, trying to come up with photo sets for the sessions that we had there, that everybody has different opinions about what a good photo set is. I even went to Paul Smith's, he had a little training session right before that conference. And even after that, we could not agree on some of the photo sets, whether that was a good pairing or not. So it's really difficult. It's a lot more difficult than you think. Sandy has a question. Is it better to research the race or not? Well, for this particular thing, it doesn't matter because there is no answer yet. I happen to like horse racing, so I like to look at stuff like this. But generally, being blind to things can be an advantage, because the more blind you are, you don't have emotions that you might otherwise have to set aside. But in this case, there is really no way to front load it. But Lee says he prefers not to view past performances until after this, so to not be front loaded. And there is some thought to that. But as Ted talks about here, it is associative viewing. So you don't have to know anything about the race. It can be good not to know anything about the race, but if you do, it still doesn't matter because you're blind. You're blind to what the associations are between the photos and the outcome.
Can I just say one thing quickly about that the notion of if our prediction happens to be no, the favorite won't win, and then the question is, well, then what do you do? How do you act at all if you don't want to go offshore and bet against the favorite? Well, that's where maybe, like Lee says, if you then go in and look at the past performances, and if you're a handicapper, you do the handicapping. Well, if you know that you can exclude the favorite, which has got a whole lot of money bet on it, then every one of the next 2 or 3 or 4 or 5 best horses will then automatically represent a very good bet, a much better bet than if you had to think about it. Geez, I got to bet on the favorite. So if you can get rid of the favorite, well, that's good news.
I love that, Lee. I love that. Ted, that's great. Ted does a lot of stuff with horse racing, as you can tell. He knows a lot about it. So I need to pick his brain a little bit more. Okay, so let's see where we're going now. Okay, so does anyone have any questions before we get into the actual session where we do our remote viewing? Okay, what we're going to do, we're going to do this cool down for 5 minutes. That's going to be, all of this is going to be on your own. So the next 15 minutes are going to be on your own. I'm going to turn off, I'm going to mute myself. Hopefully I can figure out how to do that. And then we're going to, you're going to be on your own for 15 minutes. You'll do whatever cool down you like to do. In the email that I sent out ahead of time, there was a link for the SAM cool down method that some people like to use. Then you're going to do the actual sketching. You're going to do your remote viewing session, and you're going to keep your focus on the feedback photo that you'll get after the Kentucky Derby. You're going to really focus on that, and that's your intention, is to connect with that. And so if you don't get finished in that 15 minutes, leave your sound off, stay away from your screen until you're ready for feedback, because we're going to start up in 15 minutes. Okay? All right, so here is our coordinate. Your cue is to describe and sketch your 673002 feedback target. Everybody ready? Okay. All right, I'll be back in 14 minutes to give you a 1-minute warning, and we'll start up. You have 1 minute more. Okay, is everybody back? Okay, Lee, Ted, Murphy, Donna, good. Lynn, let's see, Murphy, Ted, Donna, Lynn, Evelyn, Terry, Sandy, Heather, Gabriella. Okay. Oops, looks like we're missing two. Let me see if they're still online here. I think they dropped off. So, okay. So I think everybody's here. Okay. All right then. What I'm going to do is close down my PowerPoint here, and we'll go over to We. Okay. Which hopefully is going to be here. Let's see. I meant to have that up. Dang it. Let's see. Well, sorry about that. I thought I had the right thing up here, but no. That's not going to do it either. Okay. Webinar. When did I do that? Right here. Okay, here it is. Okay, so this is when you get an email, it's going to look like this. It's going to have the particular group you're in up at the top. It's going to have the tasking, and it's going to have this link right here so that you're going to go here to upload your transcript. When you come in here, it's going to have this for you to put your email address, and it's going to show, like right down here, it's got the little mark that says it's the webinar workshop group, and you're going to click one coordinate. And so this is where it was. Now we're going to submit. Uh-oh, I must have done it on my name. So let me go back and see if I did it on my name, because that's not the same one. So let me put in my email address. I hate this. Okay. All right, one coordinate. There it is. Yay. Okay. All right. So I'm going to put a dummy file in here because I didn't actually do a session. So I'm going to search for my dummy file. Dummy. I guess it's in Dropbox. There it is right there. Dummy transcript. But you're going to put your real transcript in here and hit submit. And that's going to bring up our feedback photos. So what you're going to do now is do the judging, your self-judging. So you're going to look at each one of these, and this one is A. So this guy with the fish, the fisherman with the fish, this is photo site A. This wood planer over here is photo site B. So you're going to look at your transcripts and go through them. I'm going to put this, let's see if I can put this up here on the side. Let me see if I can minimize that. No, it's not doing right. I'll bring this up. Well, let's go through this and then I'll put the pictures back up. So this is the TARG confidence ranking system. When you go through here, if you have little or no correspondence, it's going to be a 1 or a 0. If you have some correct elements, but you think it could have just been chance, you're going to give your session a 2. If it's mixed, but you think that you really made contact, you'll give it a 3. And then if it's somewhere in between a 3 and a 4, and you think, you know, I would bet on this, then that's going to be a 3.5. And then you could keep on going up. If you just have several matchable elements and some incorrect information, it's going to be a 4. If you have unambiguous, unique, matchable elements where you're actually, you know, really on target, you know, where you may have a sketch that's exactly right, like for instance, if it's a fire hydrant and you drew a fire hydrant, or if you actually have something that's totally unique, then that would rise to a level of a 5. When you get to a 6 and a 7, you actually name it. Normally, you don't want to have nouns in your session. Like when you're going down, you're describing what you're seeing. You're not naming it. So if you have a noun, you're going to put it over on the right side as AOL, analytical overlay. So that's where your nouns go. They go on the right side of your page, and on the left side of the page, you're putting your descriptors. But if in your analytical overlay, you have a noun that names either the object or the function of the target, then you may actually have a transcript that you would score either a 6 or a 7. That you also have to look at everything else. You know, if you have relatively little incorrect information or no incorrect information, you have to have those as well. It's not just naming it. Like you might have in there that it's the Eiffel Tower, and it is the Eiffel Tower, but everything else in your session is wrong. And in that case, it would not be a 6 or a 7. Is that pretty much clear? Okay. So here are the two feedback, or not feedback, these are the two photo sites. These are not the feedback targets. These are the photo sites that you have to choose from. So you need to see which one your transcript matches best. And once you get it judged, then put your information into the chat box. And if you want to, I'm going to put my email in here again. You can send your transcript to me and we can take a look at it together. Okay, some of you are beginning to put things in. Donna, I see yours. Okay, Lee, good. So if you need some help on putting a number to that, Lee, then maybe we can look at yours and help you with that, or just put some numbers on it and we can talk about it. Ted, I got yours for A. Do you have any, well, you're working on B. I would like to see your scores for the B as well so that we can have both sides. A 5 is really strong. Okay, Terry. Terry, you got a 0 on B. What did you have for A? Okay, Lee, you got a 4 for A and a 0 for B. Okay, Ted, did you score your B side as well as your A side? Sandy. Okay, Sandy, I got yours, a 6. Okay, and you got a 2 on the B side, Ted. Thank you. Hold on, let me go and see. I'm going to check my email real quickly. Okay, Murphy, is this yours here? Okay, so you say a 2 on A and nothing on B. Okay, 2 on A and nothing on B. Okay. Alrighty, let me go back to this. Oh, you've attached a picture? Okay, so we'll check that out here in a second. Let's see, we're still missing a couple. Let's see. Heather and Gabriella and Evelyn and Lynn. Oh, there's Gabriella's. A 1 and a 4. And you emailed your transcript. Good, Ted. Thank you. Oh,
What
no.
is Photo Site be a picture of?
I'm sorry.
What is Photo Site be a picture of?
I believe that's a wood planer. You know, it's a tool that you use to make wood smooth, to smooth off wood, like if you're making furniture and stuff like that. Does anyone think it's something different? Um, so let's see. Heather, you say you need help with your transcript. Are you going to send it on over? You can, that's funny. Send it on over and we can help you judge it if you'd like to. And how do you submit your transcript here? Is that what you mean, Murphy? Okay. Yeah, I'm seeing that some people put down a 0 for the wood planer, and that's going to be something we need to talk about when we're looking at these together because almost always there's something that you could put down. So it's really rare to have a 0. Is there any way besides emailing to get that to me? You could message me, but we wouldn't be able to look at it on the screen is the only problem. So I think email is the only way to get it here. Okay, so Evelyn, you say there may be something in the drawing, but otherwise it's all for A. Okay, did you put a score on it, or do you want us to help you score it? Yeah, it can be pretty frustrating when you've done great in the past and then things don't work out so well. But you know, like they say, even the very best viewers don't get 100%. You know, a lot of times they'll say between, 80% is terrific, terrific. And that means you miss 20% of the time. So that's 1 in 5. That's a lot, but it's with remote viewing, it's still phenomenal. So you're not going to be perfect all the time, as much as we would like to be. Okay, so looks like, let's see. Terry, I don't have your score for A. And Lynn and Heather. Heather, are we going to do yours online? Okay, Lynn.
For A -5. I'm having technical difficulties trying to get it to you, that's all.
Okay. Okay, so that was Terry? Or
Yes.
okay. Terry, you have a 5 and a 0, right?
Yes.
Okay, very good. Thank you. All right, and Lynn, I got yours, and Evelyn, I got yours. So Heather, if you send yours to me, if you want some help with it, we'll look at that. And so let's just go to this because I think Murphy said he sent a transcript. Let's see. I'm not seeing it. Oh, there it is. Look at that. Okay, it's upside down. All right, I'm not good at how to make this go right. So maybe I could. All right, can we read this? It says honeycomb or feathers or leaves in layers. And so talk to us a little bit about this, Murphy. Because you gave it a 2 and a 0, right? Let me see if I can pull these up. All right. Let me put these over here if I can make a move. Can you see the pictures on the right and then the transcript on the left? Is that showing on your screens?
Move the photos over about another inch.
To the left or right?
To the right.
To the left?
To the right. You're obscuring the right side of the.
Almost there.
Okay.
Register driver update now.
That's it.
Okay, is that good?
Perfect.
Okay. All right. So you gave it what the two you gave for A, was that because of your illustration, your sketch here? That looks kind of like the fish. And those look kind of like scales, which you say scales right there. Hey, that's really pretty good. Okay. Now let's talk about this because this is kind of one of those situations where, you have to go what your gut feeling is, right? So you know what you're thinking about it, but you have here a session that has very little information on it, right? So what you have on here, the percentage of right and wrong, you look at that and say, well, did I have stuff that was wrong in here? Well, not much that's wrong. Most everything on here, this looks kind of like a fish. You put scales down here, that's kind of like a fish. So I would probably give it more than a 2. What, does anyone else have any thoughts on this?
Well, in all cases, it helps that you're comparing it to something else.
Yes.
Something which is supposed to be highly dissimilar.
Mm-hmm.
So if you say, well, are there more things, or is there anything that makes this sketch dissimilar to the one, to the planar? I would say the notion of scales and the notion of those, in the upper left-hand corner with a bunch of, it looks like movement, which, there's a lot of movement for sure in a fishy kind of a shape. So, whereas there is no movement, there are no oblong, fishy, curved kind of shapes in the planar. So that's about all you need. You don't have to be accurate. All you need is to be distinct.
Exactly.
I
And
would say distinct to I would have given it at least a 4.
right. And I think Donna says she would give it at least a 3.5. And I think I definitely would have too, because like I said, you have very little incorrect information in there. And with these kinds of things, you have kind of a decision to make. You can either go strictly by the score you give it, or you can do like Ted was saying, is you look at the other one and say, well, it's clearly the one on, it's clearly A because there's nothing in here for B. So it just
Well,
depends on how
actually,
comfortable you are. Yes, go
if I
ahead.
could, I'm looking at this further, and if I can comment for what it's worth, I noticed that the planer, like where you grasp it with your hand on the left, is like the horn of the planer, which is clearly a curve
Yeah,
in the same way that there's a curve of the fish.
yeah.
So
So there's a curve
they're
here.
saying that there's one curve, there's not multiple curves,
Hmm.
whereas there are multiple curves in the sketch, and there's clearly multiple curves in the fish, but there's at least one curve. The other thing I noticed is that along the long edge, the lower edge of the planer, it's scalloped in a way, and so
Okay. Yeah, you're
this
right.
scallops in the lower part of the image. So B is not nothing, I would say. There's at least something.
That's a good
All
point.
the I would still say that it's more A than B, but B is not nothing for just that reason.
That's good. Okay. All right. So do you want to stay with your CR ranking, or you have any other thoughts on it, Murphy? Let me put this down right here. Why does this not do? I was trying to make this up here too, but it's not working right. It's supposed to do this. Nope, it's not though. Okay. This thing is irritating. Now I can't get back. All right, just take that down. Okay. It all went away. Okay, let me start over again. Sorry, I was trying to bring the TARG scale up. Um, Terry, yes, that TMIA 2012 at sbcglobal.net works as well. I just use the other one because it's shorter. So Murphy says anything above a 2 might be stretching it. You are the viewer, you are in charge. So whatever you think is fine. That's perfect. So Heather, um, you say that I'm just reading from yours. You say you got the words tuna, fishing boat, up motion, cool temp, crosshatch, kind of like a net. But you also said burlap, sound seabirds. The sketch is wrong, and you're trying to find out how to send the photo. Okay, do you have a scanner? Heather, if you can scan it or take a picture of it on your phone, and if you've got a phone, a smartphone, that you could send it that way. But those are definitely, those are great descriptors. So let me see if I can pull this other stuff back up. Let me go back and go to the next transcript. Ted. Okay. All right, there's that. All right, now where did that other one go? My computer has decided to go wonky. So let me see if I can pull up this other one. 673002. Photo 8. Okay. All right. Okay, there are those back up. And here is Ted's transcript. Ted, you want to talk to us a little bit about it?
Sure. The ideogram I drew had 1, 2, 3, 4 loops for life forms, and then the very first image I got, which is usually what happens to me after I think I might have connected, was what's in the circle in the center. So it was a collection of left-facing angles. I saw them as angles, not as people. And later on, so I described them, for starters, as a collection, first of all, because there's multiple of them, and they're left-facing as opposed to right. The overall setting is not bright. I said the angles, or whatever they are were person height. and I focused in a bit and figured that they were life forms, partly because I felt a little bit more confident about what the ideogram gave to me, that there was still multiple of them, not a single one. And the aesthetic impact, namely how the scene looked to me, uh, is that the people, and I guess by then I thought it was life forms or people, that they were attentive. They were highly attentive to what they were doing. They weren't wandering around or joking or clapping or laughing. So I said they were a group of life forms. They were arranged in a uniform direction. So it was not dry. So I gave, I guess that goes to point B, which is dry, or to side B.
Okay.
It was not low energetic. It was quite energetic. That goes to B as well. So everything else goes to A. So I figured A was 5 and B 2.
We got a lot of background noise. Can somebody put on mute? Okay, go ahead, Ted.
Well, I'm done.
Okay. Okay. So because of you had so many different things for the life forms and all of that, that's why you gave it a 5? It's because everything in there, you had very little incorrect information.
I gave it a 5 because I thought a 6 was hubris. And I didn't get the water. I didn't get, part of the, on looking at this, part of the gestalt is the curve of the fish. So there was no curve of the fish.
Okay.
But there were multiple human figures attentively engaged in something facing left. And that, based on those, I felt it was, significantly more than borderline.
Okay. Okay. Anyone have any comments for Ted? Thank you, Ted.
You're welcome.
Okay. See who we got next. Let's see, Donna. These are in order. This is so funny. I wrote down a list and on the way that you were listed on the when you first came in, and they're in order. It's crazy. All right. Why is this not opening up? All right. Now let's see if I can make this do what it's supposed to do. Yes. Yay. Oh, I did it, and then it didn't. Okay. Is everybody still there?
Yes.
Okay. Thank God. I don't know where the little icons, the little pictures went, but they disappeared. But we can see, Donna, you want to talk about your, let's see, the whole thing is not up. Let's see if we can make the whole thing up.
That's all right. We don't need the rest of it.
You don't? Okay.
Yeah, because the right side where the bridge and the tower are, that's kind of my throwaway anyway. So
Okay.
the first image I had was that curve, which is funny because a lot of people had it. So
Right.
and underneath it, I saw water kind of swirling, and that it was
Okay.
dark.
Yeah.
And I was also seeing some dark green or blue, which I noticed the guys had like a dark blue kind of coats on. And then every time I brought myself back to the coordinate, I would have like a pungent taste in my mouth. And I don't know what that was, but maybe the fish. I don't know. I
Yeah.
love fish. So
But maybe not in that
anyways,
setting.
yeah, maybe not. I don't know. It looked like a good one though.
Yeah.
So yeah, those, and then the rotating or swirling, you could kind of see the water was
Mm-hmm.
being pushed out. It maybe wasn't a swirl as much as just the wakes coming from the movement in the fishing net, but definitely saw that swirl underneath the curved object. So
Okay.
I felt it was a pretty good hit on A.
Okay. And you gave it a 4.5. So that makes sense. You had very little incorrect information from what I'm seeing here. You did have some metallic and stuff like that, but
Yeah.
that could be more, with the man-made and the square thing here. But yeah, it's predominantly for A, for sure. Anyone else
That's how
have
I
it?
felt as I
Yeah.
saw it.
Okay. Any other thoughts? Okay.
No.
All righty. Well, thank you.
Thanks.
Let's look at our next one. If I can pull it up without shutting everything down, that would be lovely. So let's see. Okay, let's see, Gabriella, Terry, Lynn. Let's see. I think Lynn is next.
Yeah, this was a total war show for me.
Oh, okay. All right, well, let's see.
I couldn't see any correspondence really to either
Let's
picture.
see. Well, you had brown, and there was definitely brown in the planer. Let's see, Lynn, you put 1, and you did put 1 for B.
Yeah, one for zero for
Thin
A.
sheets, brown way. Okay. Let's see. I'm not seeing a whole lot either. Does anyone else see anything that you would think goes with either the fish or the other? Let's bring this back up if I can do this right. Let me see if I can switch over here. Okay. So we have those shapes. Let's go back here. And is there an X? Not really. Multicolor.
I got like sheets, and I noticed someone else had layers. They had the word
Yeah.
layers. The
Yeah.
first one. I
You
don't know if
have
that relates.
light
That was interesting.
light gray. I mean, theoretically, I mean, there is some light gray in here. So you could have put maybe a 1 on here. You've got a 0 for it. You could have put maybe a 1 there. You also have some light gray in this one too, but not a whole lot. Yeah. Yeah, I'm not seeing a whole lot there either. So that happens. That happens sometimes.
Yep.
Okay. Any other thoughts, anyone? Okay. Because I'm telling you, sometimes people see things that, you totally miss and that I totally miss. It's amazing. Okay, so this is your scores, and these are, let's see. Okay, Terry. Would you like to talk about yours, Terry?
All right. I'll just have to find. Okay, it was clearly water and biologicals, and the way that the fishermen were pulling up and down on it. So for me, it was very clear. And I really like that both targets are completely different. One is biological and one is man-made.
Okay. Okay. And you
Mine was
gave
very simple. Yeah, mine
gave
was
that a
very simple.
5. A 5 for the fisherman, and you have a 0 for the planer. Let's kind of look through this real quick and see. Now, you have a man-made. Now, there is man-made, of course, in here with the net, but this is man-made as well. So in that regard, and gripping, you can grip this.
Yeah, but this the motion that I gripped with
Mhm.
was up and down like the fishermen are doing. So I know for a fact that A is the correct one.
And I'm fine with that. I'm just saying that as far as scoring, you might consider not having a 0 for the planer because on B you do have at least one thing. It is man-made. So just for future reference, you don't have to change this one, of course, and it's totally up to you. But just to
Yeah,
to kind of let you know about the thinking process when you're scoring it, that you do look for you judge these pretty much independently to begin with.
yeah, and
Yeah.
that's I
Yeah.
don't allow other people to judge my work because I get sight contact where I can physically move my body the way they are.
Uh-huh.
So that's why I know if photosite A is correct.
Okay, yeah, and that's good. I'm just saying that as a process, when you're doing this, you first take your information that's on your transcript, you look at photosite A, you score it, then you take the second photosite, you look at the information on your transcript and you score it, and then you look at both of them together and the scores that you've got, and then you make a determination of which, what you're actually going to come up with as, your score, your total score. Like, well, do you
That
like it or
on
not?
photosite. Absolutely. I mean, I understand what you're saying, but when I get sight contact the way I did with photosite A,
Mhm.
I don't even bother doing what you suggested with the other target because I know from my own
Okay.
feelings in my body what I
Yeah.
got.
Okay.
But
Sure.
I understand what you're saying.
Yeah.
I just do it very quickly and I trying to save time.
Oh yeah, sure, that's fine. And I was just saying that as a practice of how people can do the actual judging, that is a way to do it. So, okay, let's go
Yeah.
back to the next one, and that's Gabriella. Oh, is it going to come up? Open up. Okay, Gabriella, you want to talk about yours?
Sure. So I don't, I didn't get very much on site A.
Uh-huh.
I did have water though.
Okay, great.
But I said there was no life. There was life, but not people or
Okay,
animals.
okay.
Uh, so that wasn't a match. There's not much straight either on site A.
Mm-hmm.
There's a little man-made, but that's on both of them.
Uh-huh.
And I don't get the feeling of something large.
Okay. And so that,
Yeah, and then in the picture, there's not a lot that matches at all.
okay. So that was why you gave a 1.
Right.
Okay.
And then on site B, there's a green dot in the planer, and then
It's like right
the
there.
yeah,
Okay. All
and
right.
then it's kind of an orange color. My color,
Mm-hmm.
I always forget about brown, so
It does look orangey. It's an orangey brown.
yeah. And it's a blue-gray, so I
Mm-hmm.
kind of give that a half, but
Yeah.
a little tiny bit of black. And there are no people or animals
Mm-hmm.
made out of a tree, so
Okay.
there's a little bit of life there.
Okay.
The water was not a match. The planer's definitely straight and
Mm-hmm.
man-made,
It is.
and large is debatable. Um,
It's always relative. It's larger than a molecule.
it's large on the picture,
Uh-huh. Okay.
on the,
Yeah.
and then in my picture, I had the pointy lines that's on the bottom, across the bottom of the planer.
Okay. Like there
Um,
or there. I mean,
I
it's
can't
all
see it.
that's all very. Can you see
No, at the top of the largest
this one?
piece there. Yeah, that one.
Okay.
And
So
they were
that's like that.
definitely, yeah,
Uh-huh.
it was definitely pointed, not curved at the top. I
Yeah.
was doing it, looking at
Uh-huh.
it. And then there's a bunch of pieces of things,
Mm-hmm.
and the blue on that middle section of the drawing is one of the things that's kind of gray.
Okay. Right
And
here. You
yeah,
have it written blue. Okay.
right, that's
So
right.
that's
Blue.
referring to
That's
this
what,
part. Okay.
yeah, yep.
Okay.
So that's why I give that a 4.
Yeah. Okay. So here again, I mean, you do have water in here, but there's not a whole lot in here that's wrong, so
Right.
so that makes for, when you don't have a lot of elements, each one counts more, so that makes sense. Okay, thank you.
Thanks.
Anyone have any other comments on this one? Okay. Okay, let's see. Open up. Heather.
I have a comment on
Okay,
the last transcript.
sure.
I was noticing on the planer on the very bottom, there's like a sort of like a pattern at the bottom, and I noticed she has it also on her. She has that pattern drawn on her. I don't know if you.
Yeah, I don't know if I still have it up or not. I don't think. Let's see.
It's kind of like a scallop.
Like this one? Is that the one you're
Yeah,
talking?
yeah, it looks well. Yeah, that kind of reminded me of the bottom. I don't know for what it's
Yeah.
worth, but
Yeah, I thought
it's
it did too. Like right here, this little edge right here.
yeah.
Yeah. I thought it did too. I thought that was pretty good.
Interesting.
Yeah. Yeah, it's no problem that you sent it twice, Heather. Not a problem. I got lots of emails. Okay, so here we go. Would you like to talk about this one, Heather? Okay, okay, did you want some help with this, or do you want to just tell us what you're thinking? Tell us what you're thinking first. Your baby's yelling. Let it scream. Tell us what you're thinking, what you like and you don't like about this.
Hello?
Yeah, I can hear you.
Okay, sorry, I've never done this before.
That's okay. We're all new to this. Just jump in.
Um, so I don't know at all how to score this. My AOLs were, I think, maybe more on point than
Okay.
what I did.
Yeah. Yeah, those are
The
good.
the texture kind of looks, I mean, in hindsight, it's kind of like a fishing net, but when I
Yeah.
saw it, it was more like maybe burlap, the crosshatch. The three swirls to the right, I kind of saw like how an ocean
Uh-huh.
swirled onto the beach, which isn't exactly correct, but I did hear like seagulls, and I got the motion of up,
Okay. Up.
which made me like they're picking the fish up.
Uh-huh.
And then, yeah, tuna, wind on the face, and I saw a fishing boat, not a fishing net.
You know,
I have no idea how to score that.
right. I don't know if you've ever seen Marty's thing where he's got the little cartoon of the guy who's working with this remote viewer, and he's trying to do a beaver, and instead he comes up with a porcupine or something like that. And the whole thing is, it's like your subconscious gives you clues, and a lot of times will talk to you symbolically, or it may get close, but just because you're not, you got fishermen, you don't have a fishing boat, but you have
Right.
fishermen. That's really close.
And,
You've got to look at it as like in the whole scheme of things, in the whole wide world of everything you could have come up with. You came up with people fishing. You came up with
yeah.
a fishing boat and fishing. So, I mean, that's pretty good.
Is it a
So,
problem that they're AOLs instead of on the other side?
it well, for one thing, you wouldn't have fishing boat. You wouldn't put that as a descriptor because it is a noun. So you have it in the correct place.
Okay.
So that's
Okay.
exactly
All
right.
right.
As far
Okay.
like this, I think is a strong visual for what a net looks like. I think
Uh-huh.
that's good. You have brown and blue, and there are definitely browns and blues in here. And there aren't birds in the picture. You could maybe infer that there are. Um, I would think you have the up motion. I think the temperature is cool because they are, looks like he's
Uh-huh.
got a coat on or something like that. So I think you have a lot of correct information and not much incorrect information. I would
I, I,
definitely,
def-
I'm
I
sorry.
definitely saw the A photo and not the B photo.
Yeah, I would definitely give that at least a 3.5 and probably a little bit more. Now, if you look at the other one, if you look at the B photo,
Hmm.
you do have brown. This is kind of bluish. Um, is this how do you interpret this symbol in the center?
I have no idea.
Okay, okay,
It's when I saw it in my mind, it was like clip art or line art is how
okay,
I saw it in my mind. So I didn't really see like. I mean, I thought maybe mountains because of the shape. I definitely saw the jagged shape, but it was kind of
okay,
just a line drawing, so I
okay.
drew it like.
So this could be that jagged shape here too. Yeah,
Yes.
so it's possible. And there is a curve in this as well. So, so now you
Well,
were not,
also those three curves are like wood shavings.
yeah, yeah,
Hmm.
yeah. If you were actually using the tool, then you would end up with curlings like this from the wood shavings. But
Yes, that's true.
yeah,
Yeah.
but overall, um, I don't know. I don't feel that it's as strong for B as I do for A, but
I agree.
it becomes a judgment call. So let's hear from some other folks. What do you think? How would you like? I would give maybe a 3.5 and a 2 or 2.5. What do other people think?
I know when I saw the two photographs, I immediately said, "Oh, it's the fish one that
Hmm.
I was seeing."
Okay.
That's what I meant went to.
And usually that's
I'd say
important.
a match more to A than B, and there's the differential between the two is more than 1 point. So whether it's like 4.5 versus 3 or 3.5 versus 2,
Hmm.
whatever, I think the differential is clearly towards A.
And
That's
Okay.
my
Lynn says she thinks maybe a 4 or a 5 for A. So, Heather, why don't you come and give us a number?
Um. Uh. I'll go. I'll go in the middle. Well, no, I'll go 4.
Okay, you go 4. Okay, and what do you
I,
think? What do you think for B?
1.
A 1. Okay, and
Really
so
just
okay, and Lee says definitely outdoor, reference to water for 4 at a minimum. So they're all feeling really strongly. I will tell you, I tend to score low.
that. Hmm.
So keep that in mind. I score my own stuff low. I score everybody's stuff low. So
That,
their thinking is more like a 4 or 4.5. So there you go.
I,
Okay.
I'm
Did that?
happy with a 4.
Okay. Okay. So I've got you down as a 4 and a 1. Okay. Thank you. All right. Let's
Thank you.
see what else
Thanks
we
for
got.
helping everyone.
Yeah. Okay. Let's see here. Uh, let's see. Evelyn.
Can you hear me?
I can. Yes. Go for it.
You can?
Yes.
Okay. I plugged in my headphones because I didn't think my other mic was working.
Okay.
Well, this is part exactly of the question I asked at the beginning because I have done this many hours, this fishing with a net like that. I know
Okay.
a lot about it. So
Really?
that's
Okay.
my question is when I was doing the practice seminars, some of like the snow machine jumping off a mountain. I live in Alaska. We love snow machines. I don't ride one myself, but it's still, if you had put up a photo of the Iditarod, it just finished
Uh-huh.
yesterday, that to me would have a huge emotional attachment. So then
Really?
I'm just wondering, would that make me go to that? That was my thought when I
Yeah.
asked the question, because like I've done this since even before I came to Alaska in Northern California. I fished like this and for salmon with a net just like that. So
Yeah.
I know what
Neat.
the shape of that net would be laid out. And some of the things people have been drawing are actually the shape of that net.
Oh, okay.
But when I I I close my eyes because my eyelids are kind of like a screen for me,
Okay.
and I can see things on. I know that some people won't let you close your eyes when you remote view, but I see things on my eyelids like a screen, at least to get started. And what I first saw was probably the side of the plane
Okay.
because that scallop at the bottom.
Right down
I,
there.
I saw that, but then it morphed really quickly into what was more like I was I wanted to call it a canyon, but I didn't let myself do it, but kind of like a like a straight up, and it had texture to it, and I didn't put sideways lines on it, but I think it was the side of the net that I was seeing, that I, now that I see the picture, I think I was seeing the net hanging in the water
Okay.
and looking at it on edge, and so I did see the plane to start, and then it went away, and that's what's happened with me in several of these where I see a little bit from the other picture, and then I go to the one that I see the most of.
Okay.
And the strange thing is I listen to the that cool down. I actually turn it on and kind of leave it on and in real quiet in the background while I'm doing the whole until the cool down's over, and then I shut it off. But I mean, it runs for quite a while
Hmm.
in the background. And when I shut it off, I immediately started hearing birds singing, and I thought
Okay.
at first, I didn't want to put it down, but I couldn't. ignore it. And I don't know where birds come into this other than if this was like on the Klamath River rather than Alaska, there would be lots of birds singing. And I did this same thing on the Klamath River. So bird singing wouldn't be unusual there. In Alaska,
Mhm.
you wouldn't hear, you'd hear gulls and stuff, but that isn't
Right.
what I was hearing. So that was strange because it lasted all through the almost the whole time, this
Yeah. And
sound
Heather
of these
Heather
small
said she
birds.
heard that too. Heather heard the birds as well, so you weren't alone. So,
Really? So this
yeah.
this probably isn't in Alaska then. This is could be on, one of the rivers where the natives can
Yeah.
net like that. You
Mhm.
have to be native, and I had friends that were. Um, and so what I saw was this angular line that, like it seemed like it was a cliff to start with, but then there was a flow over the top of water. So I was trying to show that on the second drawing where the water something was
Okay.
coming over the top of it, which
Okay.
that would happen not in the picture, but see, I emotionally know what's happening in the scene, and I
Mhm.
did that with the other ones I've done too, where I actually am becoming part of the scene.
Right.
So I know what's happening in the scene. I didn't see the fish, but I got the sense of things jumping around, which would be a fish.
Mhm.
And the small legs though, that was birds, like bird legs.
Like bird
And
legs. Okay.
yeah, I don't know what the heck that was. you know. And then sunlight and green, and the water's kind of green,
It is.
and the sense of flowing over and the wave.
Mhm.
And the canyon, again, was this side view. Started out looking like a canyon, but then I kind of went away from that, and I knew that was not a descriptor so much, so I kind of didn't grade that.
Okay.
Anyway, so the drawing, I gave a 1 on the plane because I think in the very beginning I was seeing that scallop at the bottom, the
Mhm.
white scallop,
Yeah.
but then it just totally went away from that. And so the rest of it, uh, all the descriptors go with the picture and and the sideways view of the net. So I gave it 6 points towards A and 1 point towards B. So I don't know. I guess I'm too. I don't want to give it a 6. I gave it a 4. Um,
So you gave it a 6, but then you knocked it down to
I
a
mean,
4?
well, no, I counted up 6 things in the
Oh,
drawing, is
okay.
what I'm saying.
Okay,
I'm
counted.
counting all
Okay.
the positive. 6 things counting the drawing, and 1 for the drawing for the planer. So I gave it a 4 and possibly
Okay.
even a 5 because it was definitely that picture.
Yeah. Did you actually wrote net? Is that net energy or net? What is that right there?
That was my.
Oh,
I didn't write that during. I put it
okay.
in the.
Afterwards.
I read afterwards,
Okay.
possibly the side of the planer or the net
Okay.
hanging in the water. I put
Okay.
that there so somebody could understand where I'm. That just
Okay.
looks at this. But
Yeah.
when I put it in a parentheses like that, that means I added it later. How are we supposed to do that if we want to add comments? How do we do that so people know that wasn't done during this session?
Well,
Um,
I think that that's fine, or you could put it in a different color or something like that.
okay, because this is
Terry?
my first live one I've done.
Yeah. No, I think that's fine. Terry, goodbye. Thanks for coming. Yeah, I think this is good. So I would agree. I think this is at least a 4. I think you probably, since you didn't actually have an AOL that directly named it, probably it wouldn't rise to a 5. But yeah, it's a great session. So let's
Yeah,
see.
this was fun, but again, that's exactly what my question was about. I, I I found myself when I did the practice one last week, and it was the fish and the striped fish, and I forget what the other picture was, and it was like I, I was almost describing what it was like to be in the water.
Uh-huh. And
Uh,
that's
You
why
know,
that's why we call them a photo site instead of just a photo, because you are supposed to envision going to the site and being part of it. So you did that exactly right.
Okay. All right. So
Yeah.
this,
Yeah.
that's good. I'm
Yeah.
trying to figure out how this works. So it's
Mhm.
okay if we actually get inside the photo
It
and
is.
have the experience of being in the photo. Well, I definitely was inside A.
Yeah, that's exactly what you're supposed to do. So you're supposed to, that's because otherwise you
Yeah.
wouldn't be able to say anything about the sounds or the smells or anything like that. Because if you're
Okay.
just going to a photo, all you're going to is a blank sheet of paper.
And
So,
I've used the planer, so I know what a planer is.
yeah,
I'm a craftsperson, so it's not that I don't know what it is. It's
that's
just
very cool.
I,
Yeah.
okay.
Okay. So,
That's it.
Sandy, thank you very much. Sandy, were you able to send anything or Lee, Lee, let's see.
Yeah, I did send something. This is
You did?
Sandy.
Okay.
The thing is, though, is I didn't understand, so I went straight to the races. And when I
Yeah.
saw so basically that's what mine was. So I think I get it now.
Okay, I'm trying
Um,
to find yours
how
in here. Do
to
you
do it.
see your email here? Lynn, Terry,
Um, oh, let me go back to the screen. Let's
Evelyn.
see.
Oh, there you are here. Okay. You were saying that you were going straight to the races. Okay. Okay, do you want, well, let's look at yours real
Yeah.
quick. Let's look at yours real quick and see if there is anything here. Okay, you were doing the numbers. Okay.
o-
All right. Well, everybody has done that. So don't worry about it. You know, we've
Okay.
it's confusing when you first start out with associative remote viewing. Have you done CRV or something like that before?
No, this is my very first time.
Okay. Well, with that's the thing with associative remote viewing, like we were talking about, you're actually one step off from the actual event. So
Oh,
these
okay.
photographs are tied to an outcome. And so you're just trying to view the photo sites. And so now you got it, right?
Yes, thank
Yeah.
you.
Okay. Oh, Lee, I'm sorry to hear
Yeah.
that you weren't able to send it, and sorry to hear that you're not feeling too well, but I'm hoping you're going to be doing great. So, Murphy, let's see, you have a question too, since you're new as well. You revisit past sessions as daily practice. Are there organized daily sessions for newbies? Yes, there are. At the end of the PowerPoint presentation, we're going to I'll give you the email address for Julie, and you can sign up. If you're a free member, you can sign up for one group. If you're a full member, then you can sign up for as many groups as you want, and there are basically groups almost every day. So you could look into that, and Julie can help you with that. So, let me see. Where are we? Because we are running out of time, guys. I don't want to keep you too long. So let me jump. Before we do this, let's make our prediction. Let me see. Put this back down and go back to the wherever that was. Analyst judging. Okay, we're at here. We've got to give ourselves a group score. Sandy, since you
Yeah.
did do that, I'm gonna not use your scores. Is that okay?
Yes, absolutely. Thank
Okay.
you.
All right. So looking through this, we had Ted, Donna, Lee, Heather, and Evelyn and Terry. So that's one, two, three, four, five, six. Six of you were for side A. And Gabriella, you were the only one for side B. Is that correct? Did anyone else have side B? Okay. And Gabrielle, don't feel bad about that because, sometimes you may be the only one who is on a side and you could be right. So it's fine. You know, you have to go with your own session and be true to yourself. And so you're fine. And sometimes annoyingly, just because everybody is on one side doesn't mean that's going to actualize. So be aware of that. And we've seen some really disappointing things where everybody is on one side and it won't actualize. So the you're looking into some people, and the reason for that nobody knows. There is the thought that free will is alive and well, and just because currently the future says something doesn't mean that that future is going to actualize because things can change. So that's one way of looking at it. But right now, so our scores here for side A are 5, 4.5, 4, 4, 4, and 5. I'm thinking that for photo side A, we should put a 4.5. What do y'all think? Does anyone think that's too low? Okay, I'm going to put 6 for photo site A. Okay, 1 for photo site B. And your score on that was a 4. I'm going to put it down lower since there was only one of us that had that. So I'm actually going to put for the group, our scores for side B were 0, 2, 1, 0, 1, 4, 1, 1, 0. So I'm going to put it as a 1 or, yeah, I think a 1 is good. Okay, is that okay? Anybody have any thoughts about that? Okay, so that's going to be our group prediction. And remember, this is our group prediction. You have your own personal prediction.
I could make one just general interesting comment about favorites. And the stats are the favorite wins about 1/3 of the time and loses about 2/3 of the time.
Right.
But also for Kentucky Derby, I believe it's known that the favorite wins even a little bit less than the normal amount
Really?
that the morning line favorite wins.
Interesting.
Because there's 20 horses in the race.
Right.
There's a lot of chance for chaos. There's a lot of chance for bumping and grinding. And so saying that the favorite is going to win, you're up against the stats to start with. And for the Derby, you're up against it to a little bit extra degree. That's not saying that favorites don't win. They do, but they win less than their fair share, just for what it's worth.
Okay. Okay. And so here we are predicting, yes, that the favorite will win. The odds favorite on the morning line will win. So that's to Ted's point right there. Okay. So let's see if I can get back to my PowerPoint so we can let you guys go. Yeah, as Heather says, all the horses are really good. They really are. So, all right. So here we go. So this is kind of going to the point that Ted was making, is that in our horse racing group and in this particular horse racing prediction, we're looking at a binary choice and a statistical advantage. And normally, I'm going to jump to my horse racing group, first group. This is the tasking that we normally use in that particular group, is choose the saddlecloth color of the horse. Well, this is the color prediction. In that, I think I got rid of that. Oh, I got rid of that slide. Anyway, we normally do will the horse finish, win, place, or show. And so we do essentially the same kind of thing that we did today, except we look at win, place, or show. And normally I'll send out a tasking on Thursday or Friday for a race on Monday. So you have plenty of time over the weekend to make a prediction. And as Ted was saying, in our group, we found that to be true, that the favorite finished in the money about 2/3 of the time. So we have an advantage there since we're looking at favorites, and then we just capitalize on that with our prediction. Okay. And then we also do something in our group, our first group, where we look at a color prediction. And I send out a Google form that has the different colors for the saddlecloth. The saddlecloth is the little blanket that's underneath the saddle. And they are, in most races, not all races, as I learned recently, in most races, they are a specific color that's set by the Thoroughbred Association. And so, always like number 4 horse in post position, they're based on the post position. The number 4 position is always going to be yellow. So you'll get a listing. I'll send out this Google survey form that has these little dots on it that's associated with the colors, and you just look at it and clear your mind, relax, and let a color come to you, just using your senses to predict, what is the right one that corresponds to the horse that's going to finish in the money. And you write it down and send it in. So we actually do 2 things. We do the regular we prediction, and then we do this color prediction. And that's because when you're doing the we prediction, you have a yes or no answer, and you don't really, if you get a no, then you have nothing to guide you on what horse is actually going to win. And so we use a color prediction to come up with that. And so this last one is the email address for Julie. She's the one who does the signups for the different groups. My group is called First Group. And like I said, there are groups almost every day. Scott has a really good group called WWC. I know he's open and taking new members. It is also on the weekend. He usually does his on Sunday for sports games. There are other ones that do stocks. So if you prefer to do stocks instead of sports, there are groups out there that do that as well. And I think some of those are open. I know Marty's got some that are open. So hope you'll do your practice and join one of the groups. That would be a lot of fun. So does anyone have any other questions or comments before we shut down?
I think I got assigned to a, is it Kinna something group? Or is that just this? When I joined, I thought in a group with Marty.
Marty's got maybe a KRV or KARV or something. Marty's got several groups. I'm not sure that I know all the groups that Marty has.
Okay, it's Kinna something, not kinesthetic, but Kinna something.
Yeah, that's
and
it.
I think that I'm in that group.
Okay, yeah, the kinesthetic, KARV, I think.
But is that, I thought it was this class, so it's not, it's another group?
It's another group. You should be getting, those emails that I showed you examples of. You should be getting emails like that. Now you won't for the next 3 weeks because Marty's gone. Marty's on vacation.
Right.
Yeah,
he came on Coast to Coast just before he went on vacation, and that's when I got online and joined this. I tried to do the conference online last June,
right.
but it was screwed up. It didn't even come online till way late in the afternoon, so I gave up on that.
Oh, I'm sorry.
So I'm glad to get to do it now because I've played around with RV since Major Danes came on the first time with Art Bell in '96. I heard that one, and I wrote him a letter. Of course, I never heard anything back from him, but I've played around with this, but now I'm finally learning how to do it right, and I appreciate this.
Yeah, well, I appreciate you bearing with us and doing this now. Those sessions from the webinar, we don't have anyone. We're all volunteers. I don't know if you know that or not, but we're all volunteers. And, so things that don't work technically, that's because we're all volunteers. So,
right.
Hopefully at some point, we're going to be able to get people who can make these things work right. But those webinar sessions are posted. So
right.
I don't know if you have to be a full member to access them or not, but they are posted on our Applied Precog page. And I did put that up here. The link
this
up
one
here.
These are posted for free, and I got a budget so I can pay the $50 and join so I can watch the seminars from last year apparently and years before. So this is exciting because I've been hearing about this for years, and I actually I've done a couple of them on the radio, when they did them on the radio, and I always got pieces of it.
Right.
So thank you for this.
Okay, well, thank you. And thanks everyone for coming and for participating and doing a great job. And I'll be looking forward to the Kentucky Derby. So
do we have a class next week?
Not that I know of. I haven't seen that anyone's volunteered to do it. So right now there's nothing scheduled.
Okay, but we'll get an email when there is again.
Absolutely.
Great.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you very much.
Okay, bye-bye.